Record. There. This meeting is being recorded. Sorry, this live session, I mean to say. And welcome everybody to the fourth session of the Design Studio. Wow, I can't believe how fast time is going. But I hope that you all have made great progress in your design case study. So as I would just leave it up to you here to summarize what you have seen so far and maybe present the little document if you want to share your screen to go through some of the design timeline, I think it is, right?
Okay. I'll just go through initially the 7 groups as they're progressing at a very high level. Team 1, using the existing structures and eco-village design, we have Nick and Cynthia on board there. And there's been a flurry of activity on that one. And I've seen a very nice a weighting chart that kind of can assess any intentional community or proposed development or existing development. I need to connect again with this group just to check in and see how the design integration is taking place. Then the second group is the Czech Eco-Village Initiative. We've got Leo and Chris attending tonight, and Sandrine, I've noticed. So maybe you guys can give also a quick feedback, but we were chatting just yesterday or the day before, and I think you guys are progressing quite well with the first cut of the modules and starting to think about the design integration. Then the third team, that's Gaia Ashram. I had a good meeting with them also about 2 days ago, and they also pulling it together. Then team 4, which is the Clean Waste City Management Facility. This is quite a complex project because it's happening almost at 2 levels. One is coming up with a model waste management system, and then using that model to visit an existing facility to see where it could be tweaked and value adding. Then group 5, there's been group 5 with the eco-community case study and a design critique of 2 existing proposed developments in the UK. This is the only team that's actually fully used the online platform. They've really got the hang of it. They've been posting the various modules, and it's quite easy to see their progress across the weeks, how they've been posting all the work, and there's some good work coming out of that one. But I do need to join this meeting soon, or this team, just to assess the design integration component. Then group 6, this is also a challenging team. They're doing an eco-village social entrepreneurship program, and it's also 2 levels. One is what is the main thrust of the 5-day program to intervene in any intentional community to assist with in this entrepreneurial program, and then using the same template almost as a shadow. This would be the final outcome of the 5-day program. Once they've intervened and the stakeholders of the community go through their process, they would then report back in conclusion with a strategic framework to say this is how they would go about. So we have the ideal model proposed in the 5-day program, and then how each individual community would respond accordingly. And then the 7th group, this is the Peru Learning Center. They've got a well-structured process that Henk has helped to establish there. And Jose Bernardo with local stakeholders on board. They've been making very good progress how to put their case study together. They've also spent quite a bit of time looking at the content outline that we proposed in an earlier group forum email. And I think that would be the thrust of the live session this evening, is just to go through the ideal contents of the case study, But before we get to there, it'd be nice to do a round amongst everyone, just to check in where they are, how they're doing, and any specific challenges that we can put on the table that we can help resolve. Because as I was trying to impress upon most of the teams, about 50% of the effort is actually in the first write-up and the refinement thereof of each module per dimension. Another 30% of effort goes into the design integration and synthesizing all those modules together and coming up with a strategic framework, which is the tool to actually invoke the design integration. And that strategic framework then again is uplifted and placed in the executive summary, because that encapsulates the thrust of the case study. And then the other 20% is really the final compilation, the editing. There's a lot of work involved in that, you know, putting it all together nicely, the photographs, the appendices, and so forth. So I'd say most of the groups now are in the 50% mode, and some of them have started thinking about the design integration. Some of the groups have even leapfrogged ahead thinking about the integration and are going back to refine some of the content of the 50% first cut of the modules. So that's my impression where we are. And maybe let's just go through each one, give a quick recap, how it's going for you, your contributions, or anything that you find challenging. Just a very quick feedback. We've got...
yeah, Ezio, it might help if you call them out, so you know, just go in a certain order. I just want to announce before we move on is that I posted more examples of past designs. I posted the designs for the past 3 years that students have done. So if you want to see what your final document should look like, I would encourage you to look at a couple of those. They're in the link under additional resources in the classroom. Take a look at a couple of those so you see more or less what it is that you should hand in your final product. Okay, so go ahead, Ezio. Who did you want to hear from?
Yeah, just to emphasize what you've just said, Gio, I can personally vouch that the quality of these case studies over the years has definitely improved because we're focusing on different aspects. And this year, I'm really trying to get the design integration well thought out. That's why my main focus is on getting that right. So those of you who do draw down those documents, you'll see for yourselves how those documents have actually improved over time. And we've got this vision wherein, imagine if you can do a pitch with your case study to take it to the next level, and which is basically presenting your executive summary. Maybe at the conclusion of this design studio process. We tried to aim for that last year, didn't quite get it, but it would be great to see if we can achieve it this year. So let's just see how it goes. But I've got first in the queue there, I've got Cindy. How's it going there for you?
I was thinking this morning that we're in a phase called rein in. We're trying to rein in all of the pieces of the puzzle. We're actually, we decided to produce a workbook around the work of assessing the properties. We actually have that as a deliverable. And so this project resides inside the design project. And just this week, I found that we're really going off into the future, you know, how we actually want this workbook to grow beyond the design studio. So now we're trying to bring it back in and say, okay, how much can we accomplish in this span of time, you know, and then go on and take it from there. So that's where we are. A lot of pieces are coalescing. Ezio, you mentioned the weighting that that Nick has put together, and that has brought some incredible learnings for me acting as the client, and that also informs pieces of the workbook. So it's a very circular. It's become a very circular type of project for me. So it's it's fun and painful and such a learning experience at the same time.
All right. No, great. Thanks for your feedback. I was just going to emphasize, you brought up a common theme that a lot of the teams are experiencing. How much is enough to put in the case study? So I'm encouraging to go for the low-hanging fruits. Put in what you can. Those things that you feel deserve further research in that, just deflect them to the next steps that you need to for further research as a way forward. So don't try and drown yourself in too much information. Like I can give you the example of Team 6 that are coming up with a 5-day social entrepreneurship facilitation program where they can engage prospective communities to turn their local economies around. There is so much more that can be packed in a 5-day program. But I've been saying to them, go for the low-hanging fruits so that you put in just enough that you can accomplish in 5 days. And then just outline maybe an advanced 5-day program for a deepening of the process and defer that to the next level of the project. And when you go and find funding, you'll focus on writing up the first part, but also exploring the second part. So that's how you can split your current case study and do what you can, be realistic and don't be afraid to defer what you can't do now. As much as you would like to do it, just defer it to the next steps forward. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think that would apply to a lot of the others as well. Yeah. Okay. I've got Heather next. I don't know if you're in the queue there, Heather, but I've got you smiley face there. Maybe you can give us your feedback there.
Yeah, so I'm part of Team 6.
Yeah.
You're just describing, and I'm just chuckling really because our program is 14 days, not 5.
Okay.
And it fits nicely with what Cindy was saying about the flood of ideas and materials and information. But yeah, I think last night we had an awesome 2-hour meeting, and we are really refining what we want to do. There's big ideas, there's big ambitions, and lots of incredible Sylvia and Billa's backgrounds, and the stuff they already bring to this is incredible. So it's looking like they're planning to actually pilot our program next year at our eco village in British Columbia. So I know. So, well, good.
Excellent.
Overwhelming.
All right. Thank you, Heather. All right, I've got next in line here, Chris. Do you want to give us some feedback from yourself thus far? You're with Leo in the same team there, by the way, and I think Sandrine is also on board this evening. Yes, Sandrine is there. Yeah.
Yes, so far so good, I would say. Yeah, it's been a little strange to me to work so much with connections between that and technology. To draw my designs.
Excuse me, Chris. We can't hear you very well. I wonder if you can get a little closer to your microphone, maybe. Something about your audio. Yeah.
How is that now?
That's better.
Much better. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I was saying I'm more used to working with I guess low tech than high tech, and I have to get familiar with a lot of things, and that's been my biggest difficulty. Otherwise, doing a permaculture design without being on the spot is also something quite challenging. I've been working with Google Maps and other maps, and some of them which are not always the same. Finally, I decided to make my drawing to the format that I have at hand and use my own scale. So I managed to send so far a site analysis and a sector analysis, and I'm waiting for the feedback from someone with Leo's team on the premises to kind of finalize some details until I can go on to the final design myself. But the experience has been quite interesting, and I'm very happy to be with Leo and Sandrine and Lina. We working pretty well between us, even though there has been some little delays, and we've been able to catch up and keep a very good communication.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. And Leo, maybe you can add value to what the Czech Eco-Village design team has been doing. You're the team leader there. Yeah.
Yes, hello everybody. I think it's quite amazing because when we talk about it, so the this Wednesday we had a kind of a meeting when I just present them like the working concept. So they were looking what is going on, etc. But the reactions were quite positive. So we are happy. And the team is kind of involved in it. I have already in Czech version like the rituals that we would like to include in the concept. So I need to translate it. The same tomorrow. I will try to arrange the call with Chris regarding the feedback on the permaculture. So I think that the team is kind of not all members, but the ones that are just have knowledge and can say something. So they are just involved in the co-creation of that concept, which is really good. So I'm happy with that.
Great. So Leo is actually on the ground interacting with the local stakeholders. So that's what is so interesting about this project. He's getting live feedback to the rest of the team. And maybe we'll allow Sandrine to give feedback because she's on the same team now. And let's hear from Sandrine.
Yes, hello everyone. Yes, as you say, it's very interesting actually as a project because Leo is actually trying to build the eco-village and we're helping him. So it's very it's like we're a little bit with the project as well. We're with him and his team, even though we don't know them personally, but we get the feedback from him. So, for example, when we had our last meeting, I got feedback from my party. I'm doing the board view, and I got feedback directly from their meeting, and that helped me a lot, actually. So immediately, I've actually done a lot of work today, Leo, if you want to know, from that meeting. So I've done a lot of progress following the work of the group on the ground and trying to catch up with them. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting way of working as well, because we're all over the place, but we all converged in this document, and the project is sort of materializing for us as well. So it's a very interesting experience. Yeah, apart from that, some of the delays were my fault. I've been moving from Belgium to Ireland, and I wasn't present at all on the project for 2 weeks. So I apologize for that, and I'm trying to make up for it. But I think, as Chris said, we're working pretty well together. It's a very good work team. It's very enjoyable. I think that despite the delays, we're catching up indeed, and I think it's going to be good. I hope. So anyway, I'm very confident myself, and I really like the project, and I think it's coming along. I don't know. I would be happy now to have the feedback from Ezio, of course. But I think from our point of view, I think we're coming together and it's coming along.
Thank you, Sandrine. I must say, one of the interesting things that came up in our discussion with your team was because the eco-village concept there in the Czech Republic, you're pioneering something. In order to kind of sell the vision to the local stakeholders, we spoke about at our last meeting the stories of transformation. There aren't many stories to tell about transformation, but that in hindsight could become a key where you paint a picture in the future of how things could work, where they economically resilient, climate change resilient, socially engaged, and they've got their worldview on board. But meaning that you sell the vision in the future, and then you do a backcasting process, and in that backcasting process you establish the steps to get to the future, and that's an important principle and technique to use to sell a good vision. And I think this was one of the selling concepts of your particular case study. But it's equally applicable to many of the other teams that might be finding difficulty in how to sell your vision. Is try that backcasting process. You pitch the future rosy scenario, a realistic one hopefully, and then you backcast the process to say, this is how we're going to embark upon this journey. Yeah, so thanks, Sandrine. If I can jump to Nick, I should have gone to Nick straight after Cindy because they're in team 1. So apologies there, Nick, but let's have you on board and give us your feedback thus far.
Okay, well, you know, as they would say, you can't. What can I say after the leader has spoken? I mean, there was, you know, nothing I could really add. So I thought actually Cindy did an excellent summary of their rambling, wandering sort of conversations that we have, especially in our video conferences, which we have very frequent ones now, and so I just think it is so exciting that we're actually getting together and getting to grips, and we're actually starting to get our teeth now into things. So it's good. It's good. It's going very well. You know, ups and downs as always. You know, but we're getting there. So I think that's where I am on it.
Okay. No, great. Thanks for that. There were some funny things that came on the screen now. I don't know what happened there. It wasn't from my laptop. Anyway, so I'm just wondering if we can jump now to Francine, you in group 3, the Gaia Ashram project. Do you want to give us your insights and feedback thus far?
Yeah, sure. So I would say that at this point we're at an exciting point because we are really starting to put together like a vision, like from all the different dimensions, and it's more concrete. And we are also like trying to involve as much as possible the group there, like the community there. That's actually like from my side, as I'm more responsible for the social dimension. Then it's a bit challenging to have a vision without really connecting deeply like with the group there. Of course, we do it like we do with Tom, that is the local stakeholder, like of course the founder. So of course he does, but of course the distance and the meetings, it's not the same as like being probably there and understanding all the different voices and understanding also try to like to get all the information and all the different visions, and then putting together also like suggestions, different suggestions from an external point of view. But I think it's very interesting. It's very challenging to see like a really concrete example that I actually also scale down to my small, I would say, family. So, and that's something in my neighborhood, because that's something I'm very active also. Yeah, I step by step take also this new inputs I also apply to my daily life, so that's also very interesting for me. But it's going into the right direction. I think we are on a good track, and it's I mean, it's very exciting to see like how it will really influence the way Gaia Ashram is now living together and also like not just living together as a community, but as well from economic and ecological perspective and of worldview perspective, what our work will actually mean for them.
Great. Thanks, Francine. One of the important aspects that Francine is investigating is Module 5 in the social dimension is your bioregional analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And already the exciting things about Gaia Ashram, Tom was saying the other day, the local Department of Agriculture just pitched up, you know, because they wanted to see their good practices. So that's really exciting in the sense that here's a key stakeholder coming to visit them so that they can influence other smallholders or small-scale farmers and small little clusters of villages in the area.
Yes.
So now the interesting thing for Tom to do then is to pick up that thread and convert those into economic development, local economic development opportunities that can filter through the economic dimension and that have reality on the ground in the ecological dimension. So it's an interesting linkage. This is part of the design integration that you guys are going to embark upon in the next few weeks. Then.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah,
great.
Sure. No, I mean it's great to see like that there are improvements already happening, or like there is change happening.
Yeah. Okay.
See, like it's very nice and exciting to see. To see this movement already happening. So
great, Dave. Thanks, Francine. Now we've got Sonia and Taylor. They're on Team 4, which is the waste management project in Nepal. And this is also a 2-level project where ideally there's a model that's coming forward, and then how do we apply that model to critique the existing site and add value to it. But maybe we go with Sonia first, and then we finish off with Taylor as the team leader there. So Sonia, over to you then to give us your feedback.
Thank you. Hi. Yeah, I think again, so much has been said about, you know, getting really big with the idea and then bringing it into, you know, a reasonable thing to accomplish. Something that helped me was understanding that we can dream big and get that, like aim for the stars but get the moon, and that like help, and that helps our learning as well. So for example, like for me, the work that I was responsible to complete were a lot of the modules that were very like local based, like the permaculture design and the water system design. So I need to be kind of thinking locally. However, the concept and the theory behind it is relevant everywhere. So how do we, you know, put that into a design brief to inform you know, our readers or perhaps like our interested partners, and also to make it very relevant to the current case. So yeah, that's really, you know, been the challenges I'm hearing with everyone as well.
Great. Thanks, Sonia. And over to you, Taylor. You're the team leader for this last project with Sonia. Let's hear your voice.
Thanks. Can you hear me? Yep.
Yes.
So I am definitely feeling the similar challenges as everyone. Specifically, I would say the most is probably time zones, because the three of us have been not only like traveling across continents, but we're already like pretty spread out. And so just like narrowing any sort of windows has been a huge challenge. But I think individually, all of us have been really capable and proving ourselves and contributing to the modules. And we're starting to see like the picture kind of all coming together and presenting a holistic approach to waste management. Another huge challenge has just been like, how do you narrow your focus to make the deliverable with, you want to include all of the moving parts that are part of like Clean City and the on the ground work, while also giving like kind of open-ended, realistic, like what can we include without, you know, these things aren't going to be playing out for months or even years. So that's been a challenge for me. And I would say one of the best things to come from it is seeing probably how different and versatile team members are. Like I would say Sonia has contributed in the way that she really answers questions creatively, or at least tries to. So where I tend to get lost where workflow will just take her to answer your question creatively, and to really get working with people who kind of have different strategies. And I would say in regards to our project, it's really
Sorry, Taylor, your video, your audio is not so good, but let me see what I can do. Try now.
Sorry?
Your audio is not coming through very well. Maybe you can turn off your camera. Perhaps that'll help the audio. No. Not sure. Okay, as you, I'm not sure. I think, yeah, Sonia, sorry, Taylor didn't have a very good connection, so I think that's all we're going to get from her now.
Yeah. All right, but I think I just want to emphasize the extreme challenge this team has had is that Pauline is in Tahiti, Taylor is in Nepal, and Sonia is on the west coast of North America there. So they really straddle all the different time zones, and I've been wanting to tune into their meetings that they've all pre-arranged, but they were at like 3 o'clock in the morning for me because I'm in the middle. And so I've connected with some of them individually, but we're getting by. So I think thank you for the feedback from everyone. All I want to do for the rest of the session today is just very quickly go through the report outline, which I have posted before on the on one of the news forums. But just to, maybe if I go to share, then you can see my page. Is that right? Mm-hmm. How do I find? Okay. Are you seeing the MS Word file now?
Not yet, as you. Are you using the share screen? I think you have to click on the screen that you want to share or something like that.
Oh, I see. Okay. It's not actually. Oh, here it is. Yeah. So that's the one I want to share. Here we are. Okay. So
yeah, I
think this is what we attached in one of the last notices. So this is a template Gaia uses to assess each individual case study. So we basically complete this, but in the same breath, this template for assessment template also gives you a very, very good idea of what the outline content of your report should be. So there's your cover page. Does it include the case study, project name, the contributing authors, reference to Jed's Design Studio? Sorry, this would be 2018. And then the executive summary, all right? Very high level. It's got the strategic framework in there, and maybe 2 or 3 pages long that you can use as a pitch to continue the project. Then you start with your contents page. You've got your introduction, it introduces the project. You've got your overview, and then you've got your approach. How did you approach the whole case study? And then the 4 dimensions. This is the so-called meat and potatoes of the case study. It's broken down. There's a section for each of the 4 dimensions with the 5 modules, and this is at least 50% of the work is entailed in this component here. And then we've got the design integration. In the past, you know, we were very skimpy on the design integration, but we're really trying to focus on this component right now. So the question there is, how have the 4 dimensions been integrated to highlight the interconnectivity amongst key outcomes and critical success factors? Does the design integration process lead towards a strategic framework that outlines the next stages towards more detailed planning, implementation, and how the project will be sustained? So this is a very critical part of your report. Include the low-hanging fruits in here, and those items that you want to dream big, that you just can't achieve within the scope of this case study. Don't be shy to deflect them and say, these are the next steps that need to be investigated. There's only so much you can do within a particular case study. And then you've got your design outcomes, which is in the final presentation document. Is there evidence of design outcomes like photos, drawings, maps, and everything? This is not a specific section in the report, but we will look for this all over the report. Are there good photographs, drawings, maps? Are they well spread out? Are the right captions in place? Are they explained, and so forth? And then the critique and conclusions, you know. Have the authors reflected upon the case study, how they could have been more effective, and do they recognize the challenges, the effort faced, and propose ways to address those challenges? So even there you can write up about how the team interacted, the pros and cons, and any advice that you would suggest for team collaboration. And then unresolved questions. This is optional if you have the time. Have the authors provided a couple of thought-provoking unresolved questions? This could also be the way forward. The outstanding issues that you still wish to investigate, you can contain them in this kind of section. Then the references, do cite all the references that you've used. The author's contributions, this is very important. We want to see who contributed to each dimension or each dimension / module, the overall cleanup, the editing, and also all the online meetings. I've seen a lot of evidence of people noting, recording the meetings, summarizing the outcome of the meeting. Don't be shy to list that type of information in there. And then media, you know, are there appendices relevant to the case study? If there have been surveys, maps that you can't contain within the body of the main document, don't be shy to bury them in an appendix, you know. So that's the general layout. And we've already had one team, Team 7, who've looked at this, and they've already come up with sub-items for the design integration. So I welcomed them, and I said, you can always refine it when you get there, because from past experience, it's once you've done the 4 dimensions and you've written these up, you will soon identify which items really jump out at you on the design integration component. And then you start weaving the thread through the integration, and that informs your strategic framework. Yeah, so I think that's the content outline. I do recall I would like to post some examples of the strategic framework, just as guidelines on how this framework has been used on other projects elsewhere. And I can actually say that the strategic framework that we're trying to adopt here is a relatively easy, simple framework to understand. It's far more palatable than the Eurocentric log frame. For those of you that have used the log frame, You almost need to be an English university professor to write these up instead of a simple project manager. And there are many other ways and techniques of writing up strategic frameworks. But the examples we've shown, I think, are amongst the easiest to use. But if you do have other stuff, don't be shy to use it. As I had experience in chatting with Henk on Team 7, you know, any new ideas that can enhance this process are welcomed. So I think that's the sharing that I want to do tonight. Maybe if there are any questions regarding this, because I think most of you are in this write-up of the modules right now and have started looking at the design integration.
So if anybody has any questions, I invite you to just unmute your microphone and ask your questions. And if you don't, perhaps you want to save it and write to Ezio separately at another time. But if there's a question that may benefit the rest of the class, this will be a good time to post it, and those that watch the recording later can benefit from those. So it doesn't sound like there's any burning questions at the moment. Maybe this is all we need for this live session. I hope that it gave you some clarity for your next steps. We have one more live session scheduled. Hopefully the link is the right one this time. And that will be, when is it? I think the 20th. Yeah, September 20th. Yeah. So, good. I think this is good. I want to just thank everybody for being able to be present in this live session. Is so important for us to see your face and to have a little bit of an interaction. Is the best we can do on these asynchronous courses where we don't have lectures or anything, but this is the point where we can get better understanding of the material if there is anything that you have a question about. So, thank you. Ezio, I don't know if you have any other last words to say for this session?
No, I'm good. I would like to follow up with team number 1 and team number 5 as soon as I can, but the other teams, I'm on your beck and call. So thank you very much for your engagement thus far.
Lovely to see. I assume those are your daughters, Leo?
Yeah, yes, they just came to me and they were just looking at the camera, so I just didn't want to turn it off. So.
Beautiful, beautiful girls. Okay. Well, I think this is it then. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to turn off the recording and just see you next time.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.